are, once again, at the Word of Gord. This time I'm going to tell you about Susan Sontag. Susan was a highly accomplished and very intellectual writer of essays and novels. I think her first famous book was Against Interpretation. That was in the late 60s. And she followed that up with many, many more. And I was fairly interested in her career and her interaction with the culture at large. She was the kind of writer who wasn't read by millions of people, but her attitude and her investigations and her understanding of the more intellectual end of our culture influenced a lot of other writers who were then to, make their views known to the populace at large. And as a post-mortem contactee, I think she's a very good example of the intellectual materialist who does not feel comfortable with spirituality or anything of a psychic or a paranormal nature, and feels that the efforts of man's intellect are what we are to be proud of and what we're really living for. People like Susan Sontag are a great challenge to people like me. And I was really looking forward to this contact and enjoyed the interaction I had with her. And you will see just how it unfolded. By the time the Susan Sontag contact came around, I was very confident in my abilities, and I felt like stretching out from what I'd been doing before. So I started doing or practicing contacts while listening to a meditation tape, while sitting in a coffee shop with my laptop, and I did a direct transmission of the dialogue right there while I was sitting there. At first I wondered if I could do this. Would I be able to pull it off? But it seemed to work. And I was, pleased. It's always great to extend your capabilities. I seek the soul of Susan Sontag, American writer, recently deceased. Yes, I am here. Who are you? I am Gord Phinn, Canadian writer and researcher. How are you doing, Miss Sontag? Remarkably well, thank you. How did you find me out here in this misty nowhere land? I just called for you. That's all? Well, it's a call that has a psychic component. Every individual has a resonant frequency that is theirs and theirs only. And it seems to be somehow entwined in your name. By calling your name on this way, I am irresistibly drawn to your soul energy, no matter where you are. Rather as if I were turning a dial on a radio, looking for a station. You sound as if you know what you're doing. I do indeed. An old hand at the game, as it were. Can I interest you in some esoteric knowledge? What do I have to forfeit to gain it? Nothing except your ignorance, Miss Sontag. I realize you are one of the country's preeminent intellectuals, one who has a sophisticated understanding of the many issues, intellectual, aesthetic, and political, that you have applied yourself to. But I sense you have absorbed little in the way of spiritual understanding. I rarely felt the need to. It is a field populated by charlatans and corrupt, power-hungry institutions. I never saw the need to delude myself with their lies. Yet you devoted a good part of your energies in attempting to oppose and reform corruption in political circles, did you not? That seemed eminently worthwhile. One felt one could construct change, albeit at a snail's pace. In the face of what has recently been called a hubristic empire, I admire your tenacity. But let me add that I and others like me seek to circumvent the illusory ideologies of ossified belief systems and institutions by offering souls guidance towards an afterlife existence free of cant and self-appointed model authority. A place of freedom, light, beauty, and endless creative enterprise. Sounds like a state I would thrive in, but it also sounds remarkably like a come-on from a shyster who knows which buttons to push. Yes, I appreciate your reluctance to accept my offer at face value. May I ask if you are satisfied with the state you currently find yourself in? Happy is not a term I'd use. It's an intriguing mix of perplexity and curiosity, with perhaps intriguing sense that it could all be very different at the flick of some mysterious switch. I would suggest to you that the mysterious switch is in fact your personal consciousness, and that it can, in fact, create in any reality a scenario you may wish for.